I think if we keep the same growth mindset that we have now, and we keep staying hungry and we keep staying humble, we will be a top two in EU. I can't tell you when, if it's at the end of spring or at the end of summer or by Worlds, but we'll be good. We'll be really good.
Hey guys, this is Pedro, and I'm back with a brand new interview again, covering the LEC 2024 Winter Split. This time in the playoffs, I'm here accompanied by Pad of Team Vitality, following their disappointing second round upper bracket loss to Team BDS, thus putting them down to the lower bracket. It's a pretty tough way to go down at the end of this week, but it's one that hopefully can set the stage for a lower bracket run, Pad. So just wanted to start off by asking what went down in that second series for the team this week. What went wrong, what went right. Give me like your overall headspace on that entire series overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think BDS came in well prepared, targeting our lovely rookie jungler, exposing his champion pool a bit. And honestly, also from an in-game point of view, I think they did really well playing through bot, contesting neutrals really aggressively, especially when they were ahead. And I think that with us playing a few champions that were not necessarily super comfort for us, we mis-executed a lot of both like the team fights, but also when we wanted to cross map. So in general, honestly, they were just a better team on the day, and they did a good job of like targeting the right people in draft, I think.
And as you said, they actually came with this series or came to the series with a firm plan set in mind. So when you saw, the things that BDS presented to you guys and how much of an obstacle it was to the team, did you kind of expect it? Were you surprised by it, or were you like, okay, you gotta like kind of move around it, but ultimately that wasn't able to happen?
I mean, I wouldn't say I was surprised. I think I'm I respect like how well prepared they were, because I think they targeted us exactly where they should target us. But I don't think that's a bad thing. It's really early in the year. It's still kind of early in the playoffs, to be honest. So getting a loss like this, where we get to lose, based on them targeting like Douglas and us approaching the game poorly in accordance to what they were doing, I think it's just a good learning experience. And it's not my first lower bracket run, so I'm sure we'll do fine.
Looking at it on the other side of the coin, what were some of the things that you and the team, were preparing for BDS ahead of this encounter? Of course, you said about how BDS targeted the jungler Douglas. I mean, lights go off on and off. It usually happens. But yeah, you mentioned about how the opposing team, prepared against facing off against Douglas, given that he's a rookie. Uh, but still, like looking at it at the other side of the coin, what were some of the things that you guys were looking to emphasize ahead of this encounter?
I think honestly, just emulate as much as possible our series versus who did we play yesterday?
It was SK. It was SK.
Yeah, SK, because I think they're kind of similar team, and I think BDS is just like slightly further along, like the fundamental development. So I think like BDS just have really, really solid fundamentals when it comes to early game, when it comes to neutral approach. But honestly, if we get to replay this match, I'm sure we're gonna win it. So we're just focusing on keep like on doing what we know that we do well, and then getting better at what we didn't do so well this series.
Yeah, and as a result of, losing to BDS, you guys dropped down to the lower bracket where you await the winner of the GX or Giant X Mad Lions series. And so, what's your headspace like now that, you guys have a much tougher road ahead towards the finals and maybe even so qualifying for MSI?
Um, Great, wonderful. We get to play more best of series, which is what a new team needs in order to grow into a great team. So hopefully everyone can rebound really well from this loss and come into next week and be hungry as we always are. And I don't care if we play XL or Mad Lions or whoever we play after that, because we need to be able to beat everyone to go to MSI anyway. So I'm ready for anyone. I just want more games.
Yeah, and more games you will have at least three for this upcoming week for you guys. And so I want to get your thoughts on, as someone that has joined the team from Mad Lions for this year, and having been able to look at the progression of the team throughout the regular season, and even up until now. Yes, I understand that we're in the early part of this entire year, but still, what do you feel has been the biggest positive and negative of top vitality so far in this winter split?
I think the biggest positive has been honestly just the individual growth from our players, like from Photon's mid late game movement, I think has improved so much. I think our lovely rookie jungler Douglas is adding more and more champions to his champion pool, and this week we got targeted. Next week we won't. He had a brilliant series on Brand yesterday. So I think that the way that he is currently developing as a rookie and how willing he is to receive feedback from not just coaching staff but also fellow players, especially Hilly, has been amazing. I personally work as Vito's positional coach, and I think that his development in terms of communication, both inside and outside of the game, and adding more champions to his champion pool has been fantastic to see as well. And then my lovely bot lane from Mad Lions are exactly what I expected them to be, able to win every game 2 versus 8 if I put them in a good spot. Bad things? I don't think there's been any bad things yet.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And why do you think that? Like, why do you think the team doesn't have any bad things from your point of view?
Because we are all equal minded and well one minded on developing as a team and we see it as a process. I think a lot of teams are results based, and I think that our approach is just a lot more focused, which means that when we lose, like I'm not gonna take this lose like a big sad way. Of course, I'm gonna be disappointed in losing today, but it's an opportunity for me to get better. It's an opportunity for my players to get better, and I think that mentality has basically meant that we don't have these big internal fights, we don't have these blow ups, we don't have like these arguments that are not great for team development. So I think basically just our approach to development has been really key for not having like bad things happen or bad environment or negative things happening to the team.
Right, right. I really appreciate you giving us that insight from your lens, Pat. And I also want to pivot from focusing on the team, but now towards yourself. As I mentioned earlier on in the conversation, you joined Vitality from Mad Lions, and it was a way that maybe maybe could have been handled differently from the various points of view. But even so, like when you moved to Vitality, how has that transition like been for you specifically, Pat? In addition to Matt, because of course he joined alongside you, but more so focusing on the managing position. So what's that transition been like for you?
It's been amazing. Like obviously with Mac being in a different role and having some visa issues, meaning that I've had to fill bigger shoes. Like we are in the studio, me and Carter. I've gotten to work with Carter, so I think my transition has been really good. I'm so happy to work with Carter. This guy is like he was put in a really hard position this off season, and I think that he's honestly just grown with the task in an incredible way. So big shout out to him. I think he's doing really well. I think upper management of Vitality has made sure that I have landed really well. They've met all of my needs. Like anything that they could do for me to be able to perform at my best, they have secured for me. And the same for my players. I have we don't talk about this very much in esport, but I think I'm very blessed with having 5 kind players on my team that are incredibly good at making sure that they are being looked out for because they're players, but also they're good at looking out for each other and the coaching staff.
Is there any different similarities between Mac and Carter? That you can pinpoint.
Mm, I think they're two very different individuals. But usually in coaching worlds, when both people are open-minded, I think opposites attract. I also think I'm quite different from Mac, and I think that's usually a good thing.
Of course, of course. And a few more questions before I wrap it up. Of course, pivoting back to focusing on the winter playoffs. As I mentioned, also you're going to be awaiting the winner of Giant X, and and Matt. Do you have any favorites that you want to take on, for this next encounter?
Mm, Honestly, like the whole rivalry with Mad Lions is more exciting for me at the end of the year when we've had time to grow into whatever team we're gonna be by the time that Worlds comes around. So I'm not particularly like more excited for one of the other. I would love to face Cass because it's always fun to face like a former coach that we worked with, and I have a really good relationship with him. But it would also be fun to beat Mad Lions.
Of course. And one more question. Where do you see the potential of this team? Now, given that you've been able to talk about how the team and what the team is like at this early portion of the year, but what do you see as potential later on down the line? Like say end of spring, end of summer, ahead of Worlds, stuff like that.
I think if we keep the same growth mindset that we have now, and we keep staying hungry and we keep staying humble, we will be a top two in EU. I can't tell you when, if it's at the end of spring or at the end of summer or by Worlds, but we'll be good. We'll be really good.
And hopefully that does happen in due time. Pat, once again, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And best of luck to the team and also for yourself for the future.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me, Pedro.